Hello, welcome to Big Bang Radio Spotlights. This is a show where we talk to independent artists from all around the world all about their music and their process for making it. I'm your host, Isaac Anderson, and today I get to sit down with Feurd from the band the Elwins. Without any further ado, here's the interview. Feurd, thank you so much for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. Been very excited to talk to you because I'm a big fan of the Elwins music, but I want to start at your personal music journey. And the first question I want to ask you is, what is your earliest musical memory?
Well, it was a big music house, not instrument-wise, but my parents, huge fans of music. I remember growing up listening to Steely Dan, Carly Simon, Joni Mitchell, artists like that were always on in the house. My parents have a big vinyl collection. There was always records playing in the house, so I remember that. But my first recollection with the guitar is I had an uncle who played guitar. And I remember I got a really kind of cheap nylon string guitar from a garage sale from my aunt. And my uncle was over, and he showed me a couple things that I could play on it. And that was my first real memory of playing the guitar.
How exactly did you get started kind of playing the music that you play now? Not necessarily in the Elwins, but did you play in bands and stuff before the Elwins, when you were coming up in high school and stuff?
Yeah, definitely. I started, had a band, probably when I was about 13 or 14, I was playing in a band, and that was my first ever band experience, and we were just kind of jamming, riffs and stuff like that, but one of the guys was really into the Red Hot Chili Peppers, which I have no problem with that. Red Hot Chili Peppers are great, but I was the second guitarist in the band, and I ended up getting kicked out of the band because they wanted to become a Red Hot Chili Peppers cover band, and the Chili Peppers only have one guitar player. But that actually just happened right before I moved to Ontario, which kind of is where shortly thereafter I met the guys from the Elwins, and we had a band in high school before the Elwins as well together.
So there's 4 guys in the group total. How exactly did you guys all meet? Was it just a happen circumstance, we happen to know the same people, or was it did you all meet at one place, in school? I don't know. How exactly did that happen?
Well, I met the 2 of the guys, the singer and the drummer, Travis and Matthew. I met them in high school. I came into the high school a little bit later because I had moved. And then we became friends kind of through music, through playing music and being the kind of music guys at high school, I guess. We just kind of met each other, and skateboarding.
That's always been really tied with music too, skateboarding.
Yeah, often in high school it is. You're kind of playing punk music and skateboarding. And so we met through that, and we had another band in high school. And then the 4th member, Frankie, he had his own band, and we were looking for someone else to join the band, and we had gone and seen him play. And then after we saw him play, we had kind of put out a message hey, we're looking for someone else to join our band. And he had come up and jammed with us, and then we basically started touring with him right after that.
How exactly did you guys come across the name the Elwins? Was that one specific person's idea, or was it did you guys have a list and that was just one on the list that really stuck out to you?
It actually was part of a list of names. And Travis's drum teacher in high school, who was very influential to us at the time, really liked it, and then ended up making Trav a shirt that said the Elwins on it for his birthday, and that kind of solidified it.
Looks like you guys had a pretty good support structure as you were coming up, and you guys have known each other for quite some time too. And your songwriting process, I'm not exactly sure how you guys go about doing that, but it sounds like you guys are really good friends. Do you guys tend to write everything collaboratively, or do you guys individually like to bring things to the table and say, hey, I wrote a song, here are the parts, let's play it?
Yeah, we like to be as collaborative as possible to kind of bring out, the kind of unique voice in everybody's kind of musicality. But often one of the two like main songwriters, Matt and Frankie, will bring like an idea to the table. And usually it's not like super formed. It'll just be, chords and lyrics and melody, or even, just a little snippet of a tune. And we'll bring that to the group, and then we'll jam it together, and kind of everyone will come up with their parts and suggest ideas to each other. And that's kind of like the process we've been doing for the last record, and what we're doing right now, kind of writing for a new one.
You mentioned that you were from Ontario, right?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, how was the music scene up there? Is it really kind to your kind of music up there?
It's cool. It's cool. I mean, Toronto and Montreal are probably two of the, big music cities in Canada. And even just between them, they're really different. But Toronto's awesome. There's lots of bands here, lots of venues. Unfortunately, because of, the pandemic and everything, a few venues are closing, but we're hoping that when everything gets back to normal, there kind of be a resurgence of live music and some new venues will show up. But it's really nice. All the bands in Toronto are really close, generally, and they're really nice to each other. And I feel like it's a great scene, honestly. We know a lot of people, and you can always lean on other people for support or advice or help. And I think it's a really good music scene in Toronto.
How exactly do you think the area that you're in has influenced your sound?
Oh man, it's really interesting. I feel like the era, like right now, there's so much, and this has probably always happened, but you're kind of seeing it through your own lens. There's so much like bringing of influence from music of the, 60s, 70s, and 80s and stuff like that that's coming back and being kind of mixed with modern production styles and modern elements. And that's definitely something that's influenced us, because in high school, a lot of our favorite bands were like the Beach Boys and the Beatles and the Carpenters. And then, also bands like the Flaming Lips and the Strokes. So I feel like our sound is really a mix of those older influences with some of the more modern stuff that we love. So.
You guys have been touring quite a lot over the last couple years, and ever since your inception, really. And in 2012, from my research telling me, every single city you went to, you wrote a song for each city you went into?
Yeah, we did that I think that was our first American tour ever.
Yeah. So I'm not going to tell you to name all the cities and everything. I imagine those are still online for people to watch, but just from your recollection, do you remember what was the easiest one of those songs to write, and what was the hardest one? Like, it's like we're in Nebraska, we have corn, and that's it. Like, like how exactly did you go about that?
Oh man, it was so long ago. Let me think. I don't even know if I can remember any of the songs.
Like, do you remember, like, you guys just sitting around and like, oh, goodness, like, we have no ideas for this city, or, like, there's too many ideas for this city, like, anything like that?
Seriously, it was so much Wikipedia. We were just, like, Wikipediaing every city. The tour wasn't that long. We played maybe, like, 10 or 12 shows or something like that. And we were on tour with this great band called Jukebox the Ghosts. But I remember we were just Wikipediaing all of these cities and just being like, okay, how do we say this thing about, like, they got lots of, like, lobsters in the chorus or something?
Awesome. Well, those are a lot of fun for people to watch online. And kind of keeping on the live show circuit, I pulled up some videos of you guys playing shows. First off, you guys look like have a killer live show. I would love to see you guys live. But it also looks like, because you guys are such good friends, you have a lot of fun preparing for the gigs and kind of traveling. And even though it's a lot of work, it looks like you guys kind of have little things that you do each show and kind of keep it entertaining. Specifically, I'm talking about when you guys were in the back of a show and you guys were yelling like, "Give me back my son! Give me back my son!" and like doing all the weird vocal warm-ups. Do you guys, like, how exactly do you guys prepare for a gig? Do you guys have like are you guys pretty rigid about, like, we do this, that, or is it just like, we're just going to get in the city and just kind of feel it out?
Yeah, I feel like there's certain things that we try to do every night, but, sometimes touring can get so hectic that your schedule really gets thrown off, or you don't have enough time to eat before the show and do this and that, you know what I mean? So, but we do try and just like generally get warmed up, get a little bit like psyched up with each other. We have kind of like a pre-show ritual that we do that's very short, like just before we get on stage, where we say some really weird and just try and get like a little bit hyped up and go out there and do it.
Well, what is one of your most memorable shows in kind of your recent career? Because you guys have played a lot of them. Is there like one that really sticks out in your mind? Like that one is the one I'm always going to remember.
Oh man, yeah, for sure. There's a few, I think. Not too long ago, we got to tour in Japan, and that was just totally wild. The whole thing was amazing. And we played a really great show in Tokyo that was just such a total, like, messing with your mind. Like, oh, I'm in Japan, like, playing a show to, like, a few hundred people. Like, it's just nuts. And then also on my birthday last year, we played at a venue in Toronto called Rebel, which is a pretty big venue on my birthday on Halloween, and we all dressed up like minions, and that was really sick. That was like a great night.
Kind of hopping onto your recordings real quick. You guys were on a label called Hidden Pony Records for a long time, if I'm not mistaken, and you left that label and you decided, I believe it's your own label, Pink Eye Recordings.
Yeah.
What was that transition like, and what kind of stuff have you discovered, like running your label, as far as, you know, the way things go about you releasing music? Have you guys run into any challenges with that? And like, I imagine it's a very exciting thing for you too, because it opens up a whole new world of possibilities.
Totally, yeah, it's great, man. We've been loving it. We've been really loving it. Yeah, well, we were on a label for a few years, and that's cool and all, but I think, at a certain point, unless, your label has this amazing amount of drive to help you and all these resources, like a lot of the things that a label does or traditionally did, independent artists can do now. You can hire your own, PR and radio people and, run the campaigns yourself without the label being the middleman. And it kind of, in a way, I think with communication and with being able to just move forward and do the things you want to do and get them done, it kind of removes, a bit of a middleman that kind of can slow the process down a little bit. So it has been exciting, and definitely a new experience, lots of mistakes, lots of, hurdles to overcome, but really fun and definitely a big learning experience, but exciting for sure.
Your new album, Feurd, is on streaming, and a lot of people have heard it, and I really enjoy the record. I know tons of people out there have heard it and really love it too. What was the process of recording that album like? Were these songs that you guys have had for a while, and you went in the studio ready to knock them out, or was this more of a spontaneous kind of thing, where it's like we're going to write some new stuff and try to kind of record as we figure the stuff out?
Yeah, it was actually a big mix where we were kind of demoing out some songs because we were like, okay, we were figuring, we didn't initially plan just like we're going to self-release this record. We kind of started making demos that we thought, oh, we'll make some demos, we'll show them to some labels. Here's a couple new songs that we have that we're really confident about. And we started just making demos of them in our basement in our kind of home studio. And we were like, these demos are sounding pretty good. Like we were really liking them. And then we kind of were like shopping them around a little bit, but it's a weird process. And we were like, we should just make a record. We just need to make a record. And we kind of decided that the demos that we had started making, they were record quality, and we were just going to keep going and just finish the record ourselves. So once we made that decision, we just kept plugging away at the home studio on these demos. And eventually we thought, we're never going to get this done at home because there's too many distractions. So we booked a studio in Toronto for 2 weeks and just went and kind of banged out the rest of it. But it was a big mix of songs. There was a whole bunch of new songs, mostly new stuff, but then there was a couple songs that were, years old that had been we had talked about recording for other albums, and then we kind of re-listened to them and we were like, this is a perfect fit for this record. And so we ended up putting a couple of old songs in the mix as well.
Did you guys track that live in the room together, or was that like an overdub thing? I don't know. I get a sense that like you guys are so good live that you guys recording all as a in a room together would really suit you. But I don't know. How exactly do you guys go about tracking the songs?
I would have, honestly liked to track some of the songs like that, but unfortunately, with the kind of restrictions of the studio gear and setup that we have at home that we did a lot of the record at, we didn't have enough, inputs and everything to record a whole band live professionally. So we did a few songs like that in Toronto, but even that was a small studio, and we kind of did it to get the drum take and then recorded overdubs on top of that. But most of it was done separately. Some of them, we did guitar and vocals together. Some of them we did a few things together, but a lot of it was done overdubbed. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, regardless of how it was done, the record sounds really great. I specifically, as someone that really loves production and plays drums, I really love the drum sounds on that record. There's really, really good drum sounds too. Specifically on the Weight of the World. It's such a simple, like a do do ga ga go go, but it's got like this kind of cool space around it. Got some cool compression. I don't want to get too nerdy because a lot of people watching mostly just like the music, but there is a good amount of people here that like the production side too. But the record sounds great. If anybody wants to listen to it, it's on streaming platforms. And what's next for you guys? Do you guys have any live streams on down the pipe? Are you even working on a new album? I think you mentioned that a little earlier, but COVID-19 is going on right now, so I don't know if you have anything specific planned to try to get around the restrictions that we're under right now.
Yeah, and just on the Weight of the World thing, just because you mentioned it, actually one of the main parts of that drum sound was recorded with 2 iPhones.
Wow, really?
Yeah.
Oh, so it has that natural iPhone kind of compression. Like for those that don't know, iPhones, their microphone has a natural device in it that really kind of makes it really kind of squashed and makes it sound like it's going through a compressor device. So that's interesting. You're the second person I think that we've interviewed on Big Bang Radio Spotlights that's recorded something on like an iPhone that I've commented on, and I didn't know it was on an iPhone. So.
Yeah, it was just 2 iPhones and then a kick and a snare mic. That was all it was. But I was really happy the way the drum sound turned out for that too. So I was appreciating that you mentioned it. But yeah, no, we are trying to do some things. We'll have some live streams in, the next few weeks, just like a little feature here and there that have come our way. But we're also planning in the new year to do a kind of live stream event that will be commemorating, the release of the album and everything. We're just giving it a little bit of time for the album to get out there and for people to hear it. And then we're going to do an event, a bigger event in the new year that'll probably be some sort of live stream concert variety show. We'll see what happens.
Heard that. Well, you guys definitely have a great sense of humor, and you're really great at music. You're just all-around entertainers, and I bet that's going to be a lot of fun. And if people want to keep up with you guys, just what you're doing and how exactly they can find out what that event's going to be, how it's going to be going on, how can people find you on social media?
Yeah, they can just find us at the Elwins on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Libber, whatever social media you're on, we're on there.
Heard that. Well, Feurd, thank you so much for joining us. I really do appreciate it. I had a blast talking to you. But before we go, I have one more question for you. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen a Big Bang Radio Spotlight before, but as I mentioned to you before the interview, I'm a musician. I love music. I love all the production side. I love the music side, but I also love film, which is not too many worlds away from music. And I do a show here at the station called Big Bang Cinema. And we talk about movies with a good friend of mine. And I ask all the artists before I go, what is your favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Oh, man. Probably my favorite movie of all time is going to be like The Wedding Singer or Wayne's World.
Wow. Okay. So you're a comedy guy. That doesn't surprise me at all. Well, what about those movies like really kind of draw you to them, specifically like maybe like The Wedding Singer or something like that? Because that's not really like a critically loved movie, but that's like a cult classic that a lot of people really love.
Yeah, man, there was just something about it. I think it blends perfectly, like humor and like the cheesy love story that I also like totally fall for. I love cheesy songs. I love cheesy movies. And I think The Wedding Singer is perfect. Like, it also kind of comes to the climax with a cheesy song in a cheesy movie on an airplane. So it's kind of perfect.
Thanks to Feurd for sitting down with me and talking all about the Elwins music. If you guys want to see more interviews just like this, you can go to facebook.com/Studio67NCC, youtube.com/NashComCollege, or you can find us on Instagram @Studio67NCC. Thank you all for watching. I'm Isaac Anderson, and until next time, stay lovely.